Hey guys, it's Jason. So if you follow me on social media, you know this video is coming. For those of you who don't follow me on social media and are wondering why I am in a state of flux, if you will, maybe a little bit of panic, it is because a whole lot of crazy things went down today on eBay, and this is essentially, I have no shame. This is essentially a beg and a plead for the winner of the auction to basically open what they just bought. Now, here's what's going on. Today is Wednesday, May 8th, 2019, in case someone watches this in the future. A sealed new copy of Space Hulk long box for PlayStation just sold for $510, and the fact that I didn't spit when I said that is incredible. Now, in full disclosure, I was actually one of the bidders. I bowed out at $190 because, yeah. Two, the reason this is so important to me and so, like, the only way I can describe this is the Pandora's box. This is the Ark of the Covenant in Indiana Jones. This is the briefcase in Pulp Fiction for me. Now, for those that have never dug deep into Game-Rave.com, the reason this is so important to me is that Space Hulk as a PlayStation game doesn't exist as a long box. I did an entire, it was a lot of research way back in the day, proving that it was never released to retail as a long box, despite having this. Now, this is, sorry for the reflections, guys. This is literally 100% real long box. This was, I believe, purchased off a PlayStation Museum way back in the day. And it is a real confirmed, I did all the research. I had the publisher's manual to confirm the little white square and all the good stuff. This was the current story of Space Hulk. Is that these real, actual long box cases were sent to retailers to be used in pre-order displays or marketing displays. If for those of you who aren't young enough to remember, EB Games, and to a degree Babbage's / GameStop, used to have racks where on the end caps, it was like a poster and 4 to 8 cases and then some box at the bottom. These are sent to retail for pre-order purposes, but by the time the game came out, Sony had already switched over to jewel cases and double jewel cases, and the Space Hulk we all know and love, or hate, was released in a double jewel case. So when a sealed new copy of Space Hulk arrives in a box it wasn't released in, obviously it's going to get my attention and about 8 others, if I remember from the auction. Now, in both full disclosure and full, for what's worth, objectivity, this auction has nothing to do with the seller. In fact, I absolve the seller of anything that happens with this box. For one, they have perfect, now I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, so I might just say he instead of they all the time. One, they have perfect feedback. Two, their auctions are full of sealed games. He had sealed Game Gear games, sealed N64 games, etc. And he clearly didn't know what he had, and I mean that in a positive way, because the reserve for the auction was only $30, which I think is the average price for Space Hulk new sealed in the double jewel case. So he didn't know he was holding an unreleased case in his hand. So that brings us to the moment now. We are dealing with a sealed copy of a variant that shouldn't exist. This video is being done because it is, and I have no shame, and if I said this already I apologize because I'm going stream of consciousness. This is a beg and a plead that whoever won this auction opens it, because it will either confirm and completely obliterate all the research I've done, in a good way and show that it actually was released to retail as a long box, or B, it will prove that it's not what it was, but at least they now have a copy, if you will, of an unreleased real retail box. Now, to get into what it could be and why the it can't exist technically as a real retail long box. And you'll have to pardon me for a sec because I forgot to open up a window here. Right now in its current form, there's really only 3 things it can be, and I wrote that down to make it easier on all of us. But the reason it can't be a full retail released long box is because the amount of that's not good. The amount of time between the real last long box and Space Hulk's release is too far for them to have sent out a long box. Like, it would be astronomically strange. And now that I have the page I need to get open, let me do a quick search, guys. Okay, so here we go. So, and I'll add all the screenshots in post so you know what I'm seeing here. So, Space Hulk was released September 5th, 1996. Obviously in a double jewel case. Released before Space Hulk was like Crash Bandicoot, NFL Club 97, The Final Round, Killing Zone, Tekken 2, Jumping Flash 2, etc. The last time a long box was released would have been Tecmo World Golf back in July. So that would mean 2 months had passed between the true final long box and then the sudden arrival of Space Hulk long box. Now, there's only one way that this can exist as a real long box. The proof would be the existence of the long box manual inside the case. Like I said, I've spent way too much time researching this case originally, and to this day, there's at least 6 or 7 known long boxes by themselves. I have never once seen any resemblance, iota, hint of a manual, which is why it doesn't exist as a long box. The only way this could exist as an actual true thing would be as if, like the 911 siphon filter, it was originally shipped out and then for whatever reason it was yanked back, but some copies made it out, however they did. I don't believe that's the case. I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe this is just the unreleased, used as a pre-order box, long box, with hopefully the disc and maybe the double jewel case manual inside of it. So, what are the 3 things it can be? Number 1, it would just be the display long box shrink wrapped. While not, I would hope it isn't, because I'm hoping the seller, when he was like picking it up to put it on eBay, he'd be like, "Wow, that's really light sound. I don't hear anything inside of it." The reason I believe this could be the case is because, as I've said 1,000 times before, I was in gaming retail across multiple companies for over 13 years. Like, I literally have seen it all in this time frame of gaming. When I used to work at High Score / Microplay in Oak Lawn, we were across the street from Chicago Ridge Mall, which had an EB Games and a Babbage's in there. And I want to say it was Babbage's. They used to take their gut copies, you know, the ones that everyone hates in GameStop. They would take their gut copies and they would take out the tray of the PlayStation game they needed a gut, new or used. And EB Games did this too, actually. And they would take the seal sticker and put it here, so when you could file it in the drawer, you could see the name of the case, blah, blah. What they would then do is they would take the now empty real retail case and they would shrink wrap this and then put the price tag on, so the price tag didn't affect the new case and you couldn't muck up or fingerprint the new case. I know this for a fact because one day at Microplay / High Score, a customer came in with 2 sealed games and was like, "Oh, hey man, I got these as a gift, but I need the money. I was going to trade them in." And when he handed them to me, I could clearly tell there was no tray underneath the shrink wrap. they were the gutted display copies he just took off the wall at EB Games or Babbage's. And when I explained to him that I couldn't buy them back because there were no games in there, he was like, well, what are you talking about? And I had to literally take the shrink wrap off and open the case to show there was nothing there. And he was like, oh, I must have forgot to put them back in the case, underneath the shrink wrap. So that's the first theory it could be. Literally just a sealed display box, which would have then either been from the pre-order thing or from an actual release. Like I said, I find that really hard to believe. The second thing it could be is what I call a mismatch, especially in the later GameStop days. It was not uncommon for people to just take cases off the wall thinking there were games in them and steal them and trying to bring them back to other GameStops. What this could be is it could be the pre-order long box case on the floor right here with the guts of the jewel box disc and the jewel box manual. Now, right off the bat, I know someone said, well, why couldn't it be a brand new long box with the jewel case manual? Because it would have never worked, because the manual would have slid around all over the place in the box and just been destroyed by the time it got to the retail and the gamer. So it would be a mismatched shrink wrap of a game that didn't have its real case, so they used the display box to make the full set. Or 3, and this is where I am highly, highly doubtful, but highly, highly hoping so, is that it actually is a real long box release that can be finally put to rest. I don't care if all my research gets tossed out. If this is real, if they open that long box and there is a long box manual in that box of Space Hulk, it would literally destroy the entire rarity chart, like off the planet. Like I'm the only one that has a copy of the Lightspan disc. This would blow it out of the water. But the problem is that in looking at the auction, and now that I'd actually recorded this before, but I redid it, so I had the things in front of me now. Looking at the pictures, and I'll post these, and I'll put these in the video post-production just so you can see what I'm talking about here. There are problems with this case, and I'm not going to lie, half of me is hoping I am just horrifically wrong and off base and need to be brought to pasture, and this is the legit deal. But there's the other half of me that's like, no, that's looking pretty bad. So we'll start with the image that caught my attention, and that is obviously the front. The problem with this picture is, unless his camera is slightly off, the case is sun-baked. It is clearly sun-faded. You would only have a sun-faded game case if it were facing a window, like the storefront and so forth. Now, unless that cash wrap, the counter, was at the window thing, you would never have a sealed copy of a game at the front of the store because it would fucking walk out. So this would be a display case that was used and shrink wrapped. If you look at it too, like in the corner on the electronic arts area in the upper corner by the PlayStation logo, is some of the dirt and dust looks like it's actually on the case underneath the shrink wrap. Too, especially here on the ridges. There's gonna be a lot of editing in this video. The ridges. See how the shrink wrap is kind of like going in between the teeth over by the P here. That is usually the result of when a heat gun is used to lose shrink wrap, and it conforms to the shape underneath the shrink wrap, like how you see fruit baskets in grocery stores. Going into the back, there are these two huge holes. Now, the holes as they are like that are more consistent with the EB Games shrink wrap rolls we used to use to seal games, be it just for display cases, to reseal gutted of new games, etc., etc. And I apologize because I just realized this video is already 15 minutes long. if you guys have never worked in EB Games in the past, let me explain how this works. So let's say you're you and I am the shrink wrap machine. You are looking at me head on. It would be a base. Well, technically it'd be like this. So it's a base. There's a giant roll of shrink wrap, and then there's an arm that looks like a paper cutter, but on the arm is this little heat wire, and if you just drop it and cut it down, it would seal the two loose pieces of plastic. The roll of plastic was basically double layered. So like as it came off the roll, it was open. So because it was open, you would then take the game case and stick it in. So this backside was already sealed. So when you cut it here and then brought it along and cut it here, you would have three seals that would then keep everything closed. So you've got the original real seal and then the three man-made seals. Once you had the three seals and it all complete, you would take a heat gun and you would heat gun to the edges to condense the shrink wrap. Now, when you condense the shrink wrap, sometimes it wouldn't catch properly and holes would appear because the heat was too strong and it stretched the plastic, like if you were like when you were heat gunning a plastic on a window. On the back, those two giant holes are consistent with the shrink wrap EB Games used, like someone held the heat gun too close to it. B, if you look at the pages, or if you look at the pictures, you can see that the first man-made seal is on the bottom. The second and third seals are on the two sides. So the long box was put in this way into the machine and then chopped on both sides. In the one picture, in the corner by the PlayStation logo, where the seams are broken, that's actually consistent with just the weakness of the paper based on what you're doing with the heat. There's also, if you look at the one side, at the corner on the PlayStation logo, the shrink wrap is bunched together and then really like crazy, like almost like a heartbeat line. That shows as the shrink wrap was closing around the corner, it didn't go evenly. That used to be a pain in the ass for me when I would have to reseal Nintendo 64 boxes. Or if going way back, when EB Games used to have the cardboard boxes to put the loose carts in. God, those are a pain in the ass. So with that evidence on the shrink wrap, that's what leads me to believe that it was a in-store rewrap, which still applies to all three possibilities of what the game could be. The third and final possibility is that it actually is a real gutted long box copy that was resealed for whatever reason, be it a used or new game. But all of that doesn't matter if it stays sealed. It has to be opened. And when it's opened, it's either going to be Pandora's box with the real long box manual, or it's going to be the Indiana Jones Ark of the Covenant, and it's going to be not what it was shown to be. And like I said, that's not a reflection on the seller. That's just the unfortunateness of this item that has escaped detection all these years. So as I said, whoever won the auction, congratulations. But I plead with you, open it. Solve the mystery. Like, just put me out of my misery and just solve the mystery for all of us. I can almost guarantee you a sealed copy of TJ Lavin that would not pass a VGA inspection for grading. Like, as much as I hate them, I could almost guarantee that would not pass inspection with how much craziness is on the sides and so forth. So that's it, guys. It was basically just a, hey, send out the feelers, send out the Batman signal, like, whoever won this, please make a video. Like, the only way to prove that this is legit is to literally do a live stream or a single cut recording of you starting with the actual sealed, no tampering of the actual shipment box, open it and then open it again. Like, so yeah, guys, congratulations. You've got to see me fanboy, fan freak out, research freak out, Game-Rave freak out all in one video. Thank There will be a real actual episode in a couple of days, but I had to get this out there. I need to know. I need to know if there's a long box manual in there. Take care, you guys. Welcome to the life of variant hunting. Take care.